Oh, start the live a little early. No one's here yet, but I will talk because, well, when this gets published, other people will be able to see it. So I'm talking to nobody right now. We got one like. Valcom3, how are you? Hi, Jane, how are you? Jesse, good. Valcom, everyone let me know that they can hear me, please. Aramak! What's up, brother? Troy, how are you? All right, everyone can hear me. Good. Ginger, how are you, buddy? What's up, Sully? Not sure. How are you? David? Aramak is in the house, and Chuckle Neck, and Margie too, and Johnny Ohm. I will. Pamela, how are you? Pups will not be with us tonight. Pups is with her family tonight. Jimmy Sneed, what's going on, brother? How are you? Sharon, how are you? Motorboat, Frank Gallagher. Frank, how are you? I'm just kidding. Frank Galagos, how are you, buddy? Jacob Hilliard. I'm doing well, Janie. Hi, Amanda, how are you? So, there he is. What's up, Zilla? I emailed you back. Savage Lunatic. Guys, huge announcement right now. Animes, how are you? We're like 900 and something subscribers away from hitting 100,000. We are 99,000. Last I checked, I was 99,030. So it's like 970 away. The play button will be there. You will literally see me cry in freaking joy. Like, I will be so ecstatic. I cannot believe that we are even that close. It's just a freaking amazing thing. Val, did you use maybe that you use something different on something else, Tom? What's up, DB Mac? How are you? I know it's awesome. I'm so stoked. I never thought, I don't know if whoever remembers this will, I know exactly, I used to use a Kiefer Sullivan icon on my channel from The Lost Boys because it was my favorite movie. And I used it purposely because of my Dogman experience, because of the girl saying vampire. And I always I don't know. When I was using that, I remember my first 100 subs, my first 1,000 subs. We are almost there. It's so freaking insane. I was, Jane? That's crazy. Sound like a four-wheeler going down the road quick. When was that? Was that on the Dogman show? I hope it was good. I hope they said good things about me. Guys, I really appreciate that. And Lost Boys has been my favorite movie since I was a little kid. I remember laying on my living room floor like this. I was 9. Lost Boys and Red Dawn. One of the second best movies ever. Holy cow. Really? That's amazing, Janie. Wow. What's up, Mikey? How are you? Delirium, how are you? Flipping. I am so glad that you're here with us, and I am so glad that you're out of the hospital. What's up, Reed? I don't think you should be bouncing out of the hospital, though. I think you should, don't break out. I don't need you freaking. If you need to be there, you can still watch the live. I did a video on the Little People of Wyoming Astro probably 2 years ago. Eli, how are you? That's awesome. Thank you, Frank. So, me and Mr. Haunted talked about something. I'm only going to give you little hints until we are ready to do this. But would you guys ever consider doing a meet and greet with me and Mr. Haunted? And if we did, we came up with an idea. We're going to do a meet and greet and a book signing when we drop a book together, which would be in the next, there'll be lots of time to plan it. It's not going to be a year from now. It'll be a couple months from now. But we're going to do it on like whenever a weird day. We're going to do it in a Masonic lodge just to be like completely fucking weird. Would that be cool? We were thinking about doing it in like Connecticut because it's like no one's going to travel to the Adirondacks to see me. It's too fucking far away. You know what I mean? A Masonic lodge, not a Sonic lodge. Yeah, we're probably just going to do it right in Connecticut because it's close to somewhere. I'm not really sure. Shit, that's what I wanted to do. Mike, dang it. Thank you for reminding me. I got to write that down. I wanted to put a neck beard in Lizzo's neck beard. God damn it. That will be next week. Lizzo will meet a neck beard with a fedora, and he is going to say, "My lady." So I got some awesome Lizzo stories. I've got a really good assortment of experiences tonight. I've got some Black-Eyed Kids experiences. I've got some Black-Eyed Kids. Let me see. Am I missing anybody? I just want to make sure I said hi to everybody. Hippie, how are you? What's up, Sean McCabe? Hercules, how are you, buddy? SDL, Celise. Jacob Hilliard, how are you, buddy? Welby, how are you? We were just talking about that. Yes, we're like 900 something away. I cannot believe it. Kathy, how are you? Eddie, what's going on? How are you, buddy? Thank you for popping in. So I got an assortment of encounters tonight, and it's gonna be a good time. We're just gonna have a good time. We'll start the show off right with how about a Black-Eyed Kid story? Peter Griffin, how are you? Juan Aguilera. Sorry, I didn't mean to add an A there. Sorry about that. Tattoo Patriot, what's going on? Thank you so much, Welby. Is Arabic going to buy me roses? I hope he doesn't wine and dine me. I love Arabic. Arabic's such a good dude. All right. This is actually a rather long Black-Eyed Kid story. So we'll start it off with this. We'll start it off with a bang. Actually, if we're going to start it off with a bang, we'd start it off with Lizzo stuck in a barn with Earl. I am an atheist, and I have always been skeptical of the paranormal. Aside from being the most disturbing thing I have ever experienced, this encounter has turned my model of reality upside down. I was on a bus with a friend, Veronica, at around midnight. One of us had mentioned that I was heading to the waterfront. She had made a joke about how we shouldn't talk about where I was going on the bus because I could be stalked. I laughed and joked about it a little too, but I felt slightly uneasy. This is where I believe the experience began. I remember there was barely anyone on the bus. I saw 4 men chatting in front of us. Not that that's important, but for accuracy's sake, 2 men were talking to each other, and a short distance away, another 2 men were talking to each other. At the time that I am typing this out, a few hours after this happened, I don't remember seeing anyone else on the bus. I had gotten off the bus, and Veronica walked me to the SkyTrain station. I remember paying for my ticket and calling her as soon as I paid to jokingly complain about the fact that they had raised the transfer fare to 5 cents, or by 5 cents. Chatted for a bit. I went down the stairs to the platform for the SkyTrain to the waterfront, and a girl was sitting about 15 feet away from me. I immediately recognized her from the bus, though thinking back, I can't recall actually seeing her on the bus. I don't know how she had gotten from the bus stop to the Sky Station without me seeing her on the way, but I didn't think to ask that. I didn't think to question that at this point in the experience. From what I can remember, she looked somewhere maybe 9 to 15 years of age. Keep in mind, it's past midnight and she was alone. She's small, slim. Her hair was cut into a perfect bob. It looked more like a shiny helmet than hair. If it wasn't a helmet, it must have been a wig. I don't remember anything about her facial features or clothing, despite the fact that I only saw her a couple of hours ago and at that point stared at her intently for 15 minutes. I do remember she had an alternative sense of style, and I think she was wearing either a leather or denim jacket. I remained 15 feet away from the bench she was sitting on. Something about her was disconcerting and made me feel mildly uncomfortable. When the SkyTrain came, instead of walking through the doors of the SkyTrain compartment straight in front of her, she walked 15 feet to get into the same compartment as I. I remember feeling a little weird about that. I didn't look at her while I was on the SkyTrain at all. This is where it gets real weird. After the SkyTrain pulled onto the waterfront station, I got off to get onto the C bus. When the SkyTrain arrived, the C bus was leaving in 20 seconds, so I ran to catch it. Only one other person was running to catch it with me. When I sat down, the girl with the hair was sitting a few rows across from me, staring straight at me. I immediately recognized her, and I don't know how she got to the C bus from the SkyTrain within 20 seconds before me without me seeing her. As soon as I saw her, I went from relieved that I made it onto the C bus to being on the verge of tears. This is the part that makes me cry when I think about it. Her eyes were jet black. Her facial expression was inhumanly blank, like a robot, and she was staring straight at me. I'm not exaggerating when I say it was not human. It was so wrong and unnatural. I have never seen or experienced anything like that in my life. All of a sudden, its face stretched into the most horrifying smile. It was the most terrifying thing I had ever seen. I cry every time I think about it. I'm actually holding back tears right now. How the hell did it get from the SkyTrain to the C bus without me seeing it? The C bus takes 15 minutes to get to the other side of the water, so I watched it for 15 minutes. I could not have been hallucinating it being 15 minutes straight. It was physically impossible for it to get from the same SkyTrain as me to the C bus without me noticing it. I may have hallucinated its eyes and the smile, but I do not believe that was possible, that I hallucinated for 15 minutes straight. but I could not have imagined her sitting there on the C bus for that time. When the C bus pulled in, I waited to get off it last and didn't see her on my walk home, though I was beyond terrified the entire walk. The more I try and remember its physical appearance, the more hazy it gets. All I remember is its helmet-like hair, pale skin, black eyes, and blank stare morphing into the most disturbing smile I had ever seen. I remember it was dressed in alternative clothes similar to mine, and what is even creepier was its hair, almost like it was mimicking my appearance. It totally lacked the thing that makes humans human. It even lacked the thing that makes animals seem alive. It was unnatural. I don't know how to explain it any better than this. This is really scary to me because if this was real, what else is real? And why was it following me, and what did it want? Damn. Not good. What's up, Wiley? How are you, Truth Seeker? How are you? Andy Davis, what's up, brother? Sasquatch and Grandma, Anthony Spatz, how are you? Donna Harmon. Sean Pethel, how are you? Let me just scroll through. Make sure I didn't miss anybody. Simon Jones, how are you? Violent Shemp. What a name. That's great. Oh, shit. Henry, how are you? Not in that county specifically, no. All right, so mods. From now on, mods, if anyone is anyone disrespectful, immediately just fucking chop them out, okay? I'll make that statement long before anyone pops in and starts being disrespectful, because the last couple of weeks we've had people that were kind of assholes. So please just whack them the hell out. No second chances. What's up, MJ Bates? How are you? 5 rings. What's up, my brother? Well, thank you, Sean. Sean, I appreciate that. Howell, how are you? No, you're not late. You're not late. You are here. You are here. 59th, how are you, buddy? Wesley September. Only mods can do it, Wesley. AG, how are you? Oh. How about this weather we've been having? Unbelievably hot, right? Fucking ridiculous. I'm so glad. Like, I want to go to New Mexico and Arizona and Texas. MJ Bates, thank you so much, dear. I appreciate that. But I don't think I could handle the heat ever. Record Girl, how are you? Chris Domino, how are you? God bless to you. Flat Earth, what's going on? How are you? Yeah, it's the humidity that kills people. Black the dog, Blackie the dog, how are you? Like, humidity sucks. It's terrible. I've never felt dry heat because I've never been, like, the only southern places I've ever been was the East Coast when I drove to Florida when we lived there for a little bit. Hercules, thank you so much. I honestly do not know where black-eyed kids come from. There's theories of where they come from. Some people think they're demons. Some people think they could be like alien creatures. So in my theory, if they are even alien, then they would be a demon. I think they resemble a demon. Alex S., thank you so much. I don't think they are. I don't think they are natural in any way at all. But thank you so much. Yeah. So the South is humid, but I don't know how to, like, hot, dry heat. How is that even comfortable? Like still sweat, right? What's up, Rick? How are you, buddy? Robert Sharp, how are you? I got to get in touch with you this week. I had a busy week this week, so I apologize. Well, that's a theory. So, like, everything is a theory. It's a pseudoscience, Alex. So, like, I think like they could be demonic or alien, but I also think that aliens are demonic. Like they're definitely the only thing that we can definitely say is they're scary. Like I wish we knew where these things came from. We can only speculate. It just sucks. But I think that's what makes it better. I think that's what makes this science of cryptozoology and paranormal research so good is that we can all have our own theories and bounce them off of each other. And then, like I might have a theory and I might share it with Rosie Holt. And Rosie might have a different theory and bounce it off of Jane. And Jane might bounce it off of Necromonicon. And then Sonia. And then from here to there to Delirium to Aramic to fucking Hercules to everybody. And then we have this one big theory. That's what makes it cool. And that's what makes a community. I don't think it's a debate. I wouldn't say debate. I would more or less say like what I just said, how I kind of just explained it. Legit question, do you think something like breakdancing would throw off and confuse? Oh, shit. I think the movie Breakin' would definitely make Dogman sit down and reevaluate its life, most definitely. I don't know. That's a funny question, though. Thank you for the $5. Bat-like and flies. That's definitely not a new one. Aramic has many of those experiences in his book of Mothmen. Break-In. That movie was great. Actually, you know what? Here we go. I got a really cool Dogman experience, but Aramic, this one goes to you and your vast collection of Mothman, not Mothman experiences. And that is a stupid name because they are not an insect. Like we need to figure out a better name for Mothman. Like fucking reptile boy, bat boy. Mothman's just dumb. So I'm mainly wondering what I could have seen. As far as I know, there is no cryptid legends or any kind of experiences from around here. I know Nevada and Arizona are fairly known for their paranormal activity. Usually it's alien sightings or those ghost tours that they have around town. I'll start by giving some background on the area. I used to live on Gilmore and Cliff Shadows, basically where Cheyenne meets 215. There's a small mountain range that was basically my backyard. It's a suburban area, stucco homes crammed so closely together you can hear your neighbor's fart. It was less than a 5-minute walk from my front door to the base of Cheyenne Mountain. I used to run up the ridge to the peak as exercise. I have since moved from the area. This was around September or October of 2017. My fiance and I loved sitting in our backyard and enjoying the scenery. I am positive that I have a picture of the view somewhere. We had seen some weird, unexplainable stuff on the top of the mountain. Once we were watching what we thought was a hiker before he ran towards the edge of the cliff and seemingly flew off the edge. This kind of stuff was was the other half of why we loved sitting in our backyard and watching the mountain and observing the sky. Back to the experience. With all the strangeness, this by far was the most unexpected and unexplainable. One evening at around 10 p.m. to 12 a.m., we were up late and we felt like lying out in the back stargazing. We dragged our dog's bed outside and threw a few blankets on top of it so we could lie on it. It's always windy. We lived at the base of a mountain, so it's part of life. We also had a flood wash behind our house with a little running trail that made our yard even more windy. As we watched the clouds pass under the stars, something large and humanoid glided over us. It looked like a man with wings. It didn't just flap, it just glided silently. I would say maybe 3,000 feet up, and I am estimating this based on the height of the mountain, I am not sure, but it looked like it was about the height of the mountain peak, below the clouds gliding above our house, south, parallel to the mountain range. It was silhouetted against the clouds. The city lights barely illuminated it, but I could clearly make out the shape of a man with wings. My original thought was a hang glider, but it was super late at night, and as far as I know, you don't just jump off a random mountain and do that. There are designated flying zones, and you have to log quite a bit of flight hours to be able to fly alone. I also thought gargoyle, but I've not heard any legends of those. I have done a bit of research, and my new thought is that somebody may have released a flying fox. I've looked up those videos, but maybe someone had one and it got too big to let loose. But then again, I don't believe they get as big as a human being. I also have looked into the Mothman. Maybe it was something like that. Closest thing that I can put it to, though, is what the creature in Jeepers Creepers movie looked like. I don't know if that sounds like a reasonable explanation. What do you think? Did I miss anybody? Let me see. Samara, how are you? If I missed anyone tonight, I apologize. Joseph Gross, how are you? I hate when I miss people because I don't want people to think I'm like Stormy Light. How are you? I still love that name, Violent Shem. That is so fucking great. Crusader of Christ. What's going on, my friend? How are you? Julie, hi, how are you? PG, what's up? Jessica, apologize. George, how are you, buddy? I hope you feel better, my brother. Please feel better. Drink some hot tea, some soup. Chaga tea. If you have any chaga tea, George, or if you know anybody that has any, get some chaga. Oh, Rosie, thank you so much. My Rosie from Texas. I'd love to see it, Joseph. Thank you, Rose. All right. Time is it? We'll do one experience and then we'll hit a lot lizard experience, a half an hour in. What's up, Lurky? How are you? Mindy Weeks, how are you? I'm sharing this now only 2 hours after the fact, and it still has me shaken up. I live up north, and I had been visiting up I had just picked up I live up north, and I had just picked up my visiting friend about 3 hours away from our destination. It was just after 12 a.m. when we ran into it, and we were driving slowly because of a rainstorm, and my headlights were dim as hell. The road we are on is extremely rural and, for the most part, untouched aside from the sprinkle of some of the small towns a few hours apart. We were about 20 minutes past one of these small towns when we came upon this massive black dog-like creature standing in the middle of the road. Neither of us saw it run up, It did not move a muscle when I had to swerve around it. It had no eye gleam. I swear it looked right at us, though. It was about 3/4 the height of my car, just an absolute unit. We both immediately thought it was something paranormal. Adamantly, we are both superstitious and big followers of cryptid lore, but whatever the thing was, I swear it was not natural. The calmness of it was so unsettling. I don't even think it moved after we had gotten away from it, not to mention it was a full moon and there was absolutely berserk lightning storm cracking off in the distance. I cannot get this out of my head. The fact that we both saw it and had a gut feeling freaks me out. I wish people would put where it happened, just up north. Where is up north? Because you could be in like Zilla, thank you so much. I got 115 likes, brother, but thank you. We do have 226. I got 226. It's weird. The algorithm is so weird. Yes, I do, Rose. I write all the Lizzo stories. That's weird. Andy Davis, how are you, brother? How you doing lately? Stephanie, how are you? All right. All right. We'll start it off with this one. No, we'll start it off with... they're all equally good. All right. Here we go. What's up, Kay Slay? How are you? Truth Seeker. Excuse me. That was very vile. I cannot believe I did that. Ew. Just kidding. I love doing it. Earl, 70 tons of diesel and dreams, pulled his rig into a familiar glow of the all-night diner at Big Lenny's truck stop. Inside, the comforting scent of stale coffee and fried onions was a welcome balm. Lizzo, the love of his life and the undisputed queen of the asphalt, was already perched upon a worn counter stool. Her red lipstick a defiant slash against the fluorescent glare. She wasn't just a lot lizard. She was a strategist, a confidant, and occasionally a co-pilot in their less conventional endeavors. Her sister, Lucy Goosey, was less predictable. A whirlwind of sequenced bandanas and whispered secrets gleamed from the shadow corners of the truck stop. Lucy's unique profession meant she knew things that didn't appear on any map or manifest, and often came with a distinct smell of cheap disinfectant. They were, in their own messy way, a family, and they had a secret, a very, very weird secret. The earth began to rumble, not the familiar thrum of a passing freight train, but a deep, resonant thwack, thwack, thwack overhead. The stars momentarily vanished, replaced by a silhouette so bizarre it defied logic. A classic, yellow as a school bus, with a cone-like blood-red crown. It descended slowly at first, then with an accelerating wobble, right onto Big Lenny's parking lot, and the ground shuddered. The diner's windows rattled, then exploded inward with the sound of 1,000 shattered dreams. It was 40 feet of pure, unadulterated, living rubber chicken. Its beady black eyes swiveled, its vast, deflated chest inflating with the sound akin to a dying accordion. Bonk! It shrieked, a sound that wasn't just loud but rubbery, vibrating through bone and sinew. A line of parked rigs shivered, then toppled like dominoes. Their chrome glinted under the chicken's shadow. It wasn't tearing people apart. It was bouncing on them, turning sedans into pancakes and sending truckers scattering like startled sparrows. The carnage was less gory, more flattering. "Son of a squawky-hour!" Earl roared, pulling Lizzo under a table, splinters of wood raining down around them. He wasn't scared. He was annoyed. He knew we've collaborated a psychic dampers after Roswell incident. Lizzo, ever practical, pulled a compact mirror from her purse, checking her lipstick. "A Squawkenhauer from Glorgun Cluster. I thought those were just an urban cryptid legend." Earl, right up there with the New Jersey Devil wearing tap shoes. "They're real, Lizzo. Real and bouncy," Earl grumbled. Over the years, Earl, the unassuming trucker, along with Lizzo and Lucy Goosey, had become reluctant. Off the book Cryptid Fighters. Their business often involved late-night drives to strange places armed with obscure folklore and Earl's surprisingly well-equipped rig, the Wanderer. From beyond the deep fryer, smelling faintly of old grease and cheap perfume, Lucy Goosey emerged, dusting off her sequenced shoulder. "All right, boys and girls," she announced. "Looks like Clucky the Conqueror has decided our humble stop needs some redecorating." She held up a long, gleaming object, a polished, foot-long darning needle. "My blend extra strength seam ripper for those real stubborn fabric emergencies." "You think you can just pop it?" Lizzo asked, intrigued. "It's a rubber chicken, Liz," Lucy said, winking. "Everything's got a weak spot, especially if it's full of hot air and bad intentions." The Squawkenhauer was now attempting to swallow a Peterbilt, its rubbery beak stretching to impossible dimensions. "Okay, here's the plan," Earl said, his eyes glinting with the familiar focus of a man who'd once wrestled a jackalope off a highway. "Lizzo, you got that sonic emanator from the Mothman fiasco?" "Always, it's in my fanny pack, Earl," she said, already unzipping it. "Needs a minute to charge, though." "Good. Lucy, can you get its attention? Something loud, something distracting." Lucy grinned, a glint of mischief in her eye. "Distracting is my middle name, darling." She then let out a piercing, unholy shriek that sounded like 1,000 dying kazoos being played simultaneously backwards, accompanied by something from her own unique skill set involving a small hidden kazoo. The Squawkenhauer paused, its beady eyes swiveled toward the source of the noise, visibly disturbed. While the chicken was momentarily paralyzed by Lucy's bizarre vocal range, Lizzo activated the sonic emanator. The high-pitched whine filled the air, escalating into a frequency that caused the chicken to vibrate uncontrollably, its rubber skin rippling like a distorted pond. It began to bounce erratically, unable to control its own movements. It fell to the diner's parking lot, off the fuel pumps, and they miraculously did not explode. And finally, off Earl's own parked rig, which he had strategically positioned, as the great chicken rebounded off the Wanderer and hung momentarily suspended. Lucy, with surprising agility for someone who spent most nights in confined spaces, launched herself from a stack of flattened tires. With a grunt, she plunged the gleaming darning needle deep into the chicken's vast, yellowish flank. Hiss! The sound was like 1,000 bicycle tires deflating at once, combined with a mournful wail of a haunted bouncing castle. The Squawkenhauer shuddered. Its 40-foot of alien rubber began to sag, slump, and shrivel. Its enormous comb flopped and beady eyes dimmed. And with one final pathetic poof, the colossal chicken collapsed into the giant wrinkled puddle of yellow latex, smelling faintly of burnt popcorn and ozone. Silence descended upon Big Lenny's, broken only by a distant wail of alarmed truckers and the dripping of broken coffee machine. Earl surveyed the wreckage. A faint smile played on his lips. Well, he said, that's definitely going to need a bigger tarp. Lizzo wiped a smudge of grease off her cheek. Think they'll believe it was a gas leak? Loosey-goosey, retrieving her needle, polished it on the side of her sleeve. Honey, people around here believe in anything if you tell it with enough conviction and a straight face. Just another Tuesday in the cryptid fighting business, ain't it? She winked. Now, who's up for some breakfast? I'm starving after all that puncturing. As the first rays of the dawn painted the sky, bathing the deflated alien chicken in a surreal glow, the unlikely trio walked back towards the ruined diner, already plotting their next bizarre adventure, knowing that for them the world was always full of surprises, especially at a truck stop in the middle of nowhere. Thank you, Rosie. Thank you, Kay. DL, how are you, my friend? I'm glad that you're here. Daniel. Good night, buddy. Thank you, Randy, man. James, what's up, my brother? How are you? I saw that you called earlier and I missed your call. I apologize. I'll give you a holler tomorrow if you're still here in the live. I didn't see it until it was later in the day, so I apologize. Good night, Rosie. I hope you're feeling good. God bless to you, too. Eating a late bowl of chili spaghetti. God dang it. Chili spaghetti. Phew. Oh, Rose, just before you go, I wanted to let you know that I did play with the calligraphy set that you sent me. I experimented with it. It's very interesting and I like it quite a bit. So thank you. Thank you very much. Pterodactyl is modern day dragon or explains dragons. I don't know how I feel about that one. I don't. I think it explains some, but if you really look at like all of the ancient texts and stuff and all like the old writings, what would explain the fire dragon or fire breathing dragons then? I think dinosaurs or the remnants of dinosaurs could explain dragons 100%. I gotta agree with you, Reed. Especially the pterodactyl, but there are too many cultures that have talked about a fire breathing dragon from like China to South America. And there had been no proven travel to each other at that point yet. So I'm not sure how, but John LaPlume, how are you? My daughter was just in Vermont today, actually. She went to Dorset to go swimming. The Leviathan was the sea dragon that spit. But I mean, that doesn't explain all of them, and it didn't fly. So thank you, 59th. Yurgi, how are you? Thank you for popping in. Olivia, how are you? Tina Marie, I'm sorry if I missed you. Maggie Mayhem, how are you? Yeah, it's been hot and humid here too, my friend. Christ is King. Beautiful name. Gotta agree 100%. Okay. This is an interesting one that I found for you guys. Beautiful in Albuquerque. Dang it. What's up, John Sumner? Thank you, Gasoline. I appreciate you. Thank you for popping in the live, too. For some context, this happened in rural Ireland in Curragh, big fields, plains with sheep, fox, rabbit. Almost a solid 10 years ago now. About 9 or 10 years ago, I was maybe 7 or so. Me and my family were out with our dogs, just walking the dogs off their leads, running around the big thistle bush, looking for rabbits and climbing on those big metal gated things that they used for horse races. I don't know what time of year it was for context of when it gets dark, but it was probably around 8, maybe closer to 9 p.m. And we had been there for maybe an hour. So we were walking our way back. We had gone far, but enough to where it had been a trek for a 7-year-old to trek back through the bumpy ground from the sheep. We were probably 5-minute casual walk away from the gate where my dad had parked the car. I was, like I said, 7, insanely into animals and had quite a bit of knowledge on them. But man, when I tell you that this was not a normal fox, I have seen hundreds of fox since, and this thing was massive. We were walking on a grass strip behind the fence beside where there were 2 big thistle thorn bush beside us. And when I tell you, I watched a fox appear from behind one of them and bolt across to behind the other on its hind legs. I am not talking slow either. This thing bolted in a second, fully stood up like a person. I don't think too much of it in a scary way. I pointed it out to my dad because, whoa, a fox. And he must have seen it too because we were sprinting back to the car once he told us to go a second later. I was scared because I didn't know what was happening. It's like when someone acts scared or freaked out, but you have no clue of what's going on. I was so confused. My dad says he doesn't remember, and neither do my siblings, but I know for a fact that it happened. I've got a pretty good memory, even for important things in my life. But every time I am out in that region, I just cannot forget about that thing. Even just by a cow field and by my house, I see fox all the time. Imagine the fox in the What Does a Fox Say music video at the end. The music video scared the living shit out of me because of this thing. I asked my mom about it, and she confirmed that I had told her about it when I got home and that I was about 7 years old at the time. So a bipedal fox, which is not, it's not that far-fetched because in Tazewell, Virginia, there's like 2 or 3 people that have claimed to have seen a bipedal fox like Dogman out that way. What's up, 30 pack? CJ, Ben, and Vern. Thank you, Tina Marie. Well, I don't know if it's there we go. If it's a fox or a dogman, because they have like a fox man, but like hyena, they have dogmen that look like people have spotted. It's not they have. People have spotted dogmen that look like hyena, dogmen that have looked like fox. So maybe it's just like, you know, like people, we all don't look alike. So that's like my kind of theory. Anastasia, how are you? Thank you for popping in. My whole theory on that is, I know that some people say they're variants and it's variant type 2, species BA3. I don't agree with that. I think that just like people, we are different. I look different than Jane. Jane looks different than Aramik. Aramik looks different than Sonia. Like that. We all look different. So I think that's how it is with these dogmen. Maybe they come from a different part of the country, or maybe they come from a different area. Who knows? It's something that I've always thought about, though, because it makes more sense than having a variant species B4321. To me, that is just, I honestly, I don't like critiquing theory, but I think it is kind of a dumb theory. I don't know. To me, it's more complex. I like things to be less complex. What's up, Mad Dog? How are you? It's not that bad of one, right? 15 or Cowboy? It's not that bad. What's up, Lake 17? Good night, Randy, man. Thank you for popping in, buddy. I don't think how is it a good idea? Because you can't. You're classifying. It's a pseudoscience based on opinion and theory. So you're classifying something that, like, the word cryptid means, oh my God, thank you so much, Julie. Yeah, someone said that. Thank you very much. Aw. The word cryptozoology or cryptids means unidentified. So you're like, how are you identifying something? Do we have them? Or are we just classifying them off of what people have said they've seen? Because at that point, then we can classify Bigfoot differently. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're making something that doesn't have to be too complex. But if you want to make it complex for you, I'm not saying don't do it. Have at it. Robert, I hope you feel better. I hope that you heard me. I did say I was having a hard time. I had a rough week this week, and I will get in touch with you this week. I apologize. I hope you feel better. That's a dog, man. Gasoline. Cynocephaly is just a dog, man. Marco Polo talks about seeing dog-headed race of people that were treated terribly by humans. They traded with them, and then they got treated terribly, and then they turned into the forest. What's up, Jimmy Baker? Holy shit, long time no see. Good seeing you, my friend. I think like, and I'm not trying to, like, I don't mean it in a dickish way at all. I just think that we have, in cryptozoology, in paranormal research, in the study of high strangeness, it's already too complex. It's already like, holy shit, it's mind-boggling. Why make it more mind-boggling than it has to be? Break it down small and then, go from there. Like, I was talking to Mr. Haunted, Jimmy, the other night, and I was just like, wouldn't it be cool if people looked at these experiences and these like theories and shit, not theories, but experiences, and went into them thinking, just like a real paranormal researcher would do, let's debunk the most obvious and then go from there. Like when you go into a haunted house, oh, my house, it vibrates when this happens. Oh, is your furnace on? Oh, are your windows new? You look at things like that. Same way with like these cryptids. I don't know. up, Clint? How are you, buddy? I wasn't there. I hope I'm here, Mr. Shackle Nacky. Nack, you better. I hope that you're coming up this September. If you decide to, if you don't decide to, that's good. If you decide to, we're going to the Bigfoot Fest together because I'm going to be hitting 100,000 by the time the Bigfoot Fest happens. Miss Shelley, Dogman has killed before, 100%. Yes. GM, how are you? That's going to be a good trip. Exactly, John. I agree with you, John. Thank you. I just think it's in Whitehall, New York. It's in Whitehall. It's a really beautiful time. Really nice place. I just think it's too much of a complex science anyway. So why make it even more complex? You know, like I'm a simple person. You know what I mean? Like I am simple as fuck. I just pretty much said I was dumb. And I'm not afraid to. All right, here we go. This is a paranormal experience. My name is Andres. I am from Colombia. I am 18 years old. Honestly, sometimes I think I have a sixth sense to perceive things, especially in the early mornings or at night. The most logical explanation is that I have a light sleep, but going to the point, I have an endless number of paranormal experiences. I'll tell you about 2 nights ago. I have a recording studio in my house. My room has a window that goes to the corner of the street where I live. I would say that you can see 65% of the street through this window, since it is great. The computer is near the window and my bed in front of the computer. So it's very common to see Netflix late at night. I have always used that to fall asleep in the early hours at around 4. 2 nights ago, I began to watch a new movie released on Netflix, The Perfect Date. While I was watching it, at around 36 minutes, something on the ceiling scared me very suddenly. It seemed as if something very heavy had stumbled and had fallen from the ceiling toward the floor and fell in front of the window. At first, I thought it might have been a cat or some nocturnal animal, but after a few seconds, I was surprised when I heard a cry accompanied by moans that came from behind the window. It took several minutes, and out of fear, I paused the film. I took courage and slid a maximum part of the curtain so that my eye saw what it was. My surprise was that there was a child sitting, crying, with its head tucked between his legs. I was surprised and closed the curtain quickly. My heart wanted to leave. I tried to find an explanation, but there was not. What was a child doing at that time of night alone, also walking on my roof? My fear increased, and I was going to run out to my sister's room when suddenly the crying became more serious. I was more frightened. I did not want to see, but the curiosity was invading me, so I looked out and I saw the same child with the same clothes, but almost grown up now. I ran and opened the door and went to my sister's room. I told her, and we both went to our mom's. That day, we slept in my mom's room. The next day, my mom told me the experience of a friend who attends church with her. She told her that at dawn, she played the rosary at 4 o'clock, and her friend crossed the street where I live to go to church. She said that her friend saw a child running from corridor to corridor, and that she climbed up a tree and then made him shudder as if he became heavy. He told me that his friend, seeing this, almost fainted, but the friend who attends, he found the church and helped her. What do you think? I don't know. I wish you... English definitely is not their second or first language. Well, it's the reason why I thought it was so freaky was, one, you've got a child that fell off your roof. Why is there a child on your roof? You look out a second time, And now that child is an adult almost. Like, so it just grew. Maybe I think what happened was there was some sort of portal. I don't think the kid was on your roof at all. I think that because they don't talk about hearing anything on the roof, they talk about hearing something falling, hitting the ground. I think what happened was maybe a portal opened, and through like the time space continuum or whatever you want to say it, however, whatever, this person aged. Who knows? Paul, welcome to the channel. Or not welcome to the channel. Welcome back tonight. Floods, damn it. You are in my prayers. Stay safe, please. What's up, Tyler? How are you, buddy? Tigger is laying. Funny enough, Tigger was in here right when I started the live stream, and then he walked out and laid down. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. The difference between balls and jugs. I wasn't touching your dad's jugs last night. Oh, Jesus Christ, Aramek. Anyone know when more than one Homo species coexisted on Earth? When one? Well, there was multiple. You had the Denisovians, the Cro-Magnon. There's like, they're finding different Homo sapien species, not Homo sapien species. They're finding different species of bipedal people like every day almost. Monkey crap, how are you? Jeremiah Israel, what's going on, my friend? How are you? I don't know. GM 101. There's a book that might help you answer that. Check out Danny Van Drimeny. Danny Van Drimeny, VENDR. I don't know how to spell the rest. ANNI, I believe. Van Drimeny. It's called Them and Us. Them and Us. How Neanderthal predation created modern human. It's a very interesting book. He's a scientist. Take a look at that book. It's got a lot of answers in it, and it's very, very cool. Eli, thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Do Bigfoot and Dogman belong in zoos? No, I don't think so. I don't believe they do. The Taste. Oh my God. Oh my God. Hey, Michelle, how are you? Jane, you like the book. The book is amazing. I love the book. I've read it multiple times. Aramek, thank you for that wonderful joke, brother. What's up, Mr. Anderson? I'll have to check that book out. Thank you. Thank you. I really, honestly, I'm literally going to find that book tonight and see it, put it on my Kindle. See if I can get it on my Kindle. Rockin' Steady. How are you, buddy? A little more about genetic manipulation, but it talks about how the Neanderthal was more like Bigfoot than human. Good shit. I'll have to look at it. I'll have to check that out. Because there's a couple chapters that Van Drimeny talks about that, but love the love. How are you? What's wrong with cockroaches? Found 200 pounds of deer on the street. Disappeared after. Neighbor probably took it. Oh, shit. Wild boar. Okay. I'm happy that you're here as well. Love the love. What was I going to say? The Danny Van Drimeny book is truly amazing. I don't know if Mr. Anderson read that, but it's really good. Pamela, no. I don't even know what's going on with it. It's the Danny Van Drimeny book is called Them and Us: How Neanderthal Predation Created Modern Human. And then Mr. Anderson, Everything You Know Is Wrong was the next book, I believe. Yeah, exactly. It fits what I think it does is I believe it fits what Victor called the werewolf. You know what I mean? It fits that perfectly. I don't believe in Goatman. I believe in Goatman 100% because there's multiple lore on Goatman from different cultures. Arabic! Thank you, my brother. You're too kind. Too kind. Is Krampus the goat man? I don't know. I got you, Janie. I was good on that one. I didn't even say a word. I was just like, it was like killing a bug real quick. Bop. All right. So after I do this, I'm going to do this one. I'm going to play a little bit of the music on the old Kenny G stick. The intro that I share that he had wrote, it's truly amazing. Like he really does. Thank you, Monkey Crap. I appreciate that. I agree with you 100%. LBL 0 out of 10 would not recommend. I have to agree with you 100%. I believe it's overplayed. You know what I mean? I would go there once, but there's other places in this country, just in this one country that are more things out there. When you go out into the woods, do you carry? Yes, I do. Usually my Caltech KS7 with 12 gauge. Rockin' Steady, thank you so much. I appreciate you, brother. No, Hercules, that's what they asked earlier. The book is still sitting with the publisher. I don't, you probably didn't hear me talk about it earlier this week. Dacio, how are you? Makes you wonder. So you probably didn't hear me talk about it. I changed the intro. I took 2 chapters out and I shortened the outro. They wanted me to take a couple things out of that. It is now sitting in the publishers. There's nothing I can do. I don't know. It's gotten flagged twice. That's all I know. Jimmy Patanito, who Mr. Haunted, the guy that worked with Ed and Lorraine Warren and with Father Malachi Martin, He's written 2 books. He's got a third coming. We're working on one together. And he and I are trying to figure out a way of getting my book out, Victor's book out. I've got it. It's in my filing cabinet. The intro is there. Everything's there. It just makes me really mad. So there's nothing I can do. Proof is out there. I've never seen the show, but if it's on Discovery or like the History Channel, I'd call, I don't know. Wilburn! What's up, buddy? I can't wait till it's out. Abner, how are you? This experience occurred in 2018 when myself and my family lived in Port Orchard, Washington State. I've always been a skeptic of the paranormal, but this experience changed my stance on that. To understand the experience, you must visualize the layout of our home. Our home was on a small clearing right on the edge of Banner National Forest. We had a wraparound balcony with windows that fed into the kitchen, living room, and master bedroom. If you looked out any of those windows, you were looking directly out onto the balcony. There was also a set of stairs that led onto the balcony from the lower patio near the basement. Lastly, our living room had a set of glass French doors in between the 2 windows. At the time, we only had one thin curtain covering the glass. Now that you can envision the layout, here's the experience. It was the first 2 weeks staying there, and everyone went to bed at around 10 or 11. At around 2 in the morning, my mom had woken up to the sound of scratching / footprints or footsteps on the balcony right on the other side of the window. She peered back the curtains on the window and saw nothing, but kept hearing scampering sounds that got progressively faster and more aggressive. She then woke my dad, and they both went into the living room to get a better view from the doors. My mom, afraid of what was out there, got down on her hands and knees and slowly peered back the curtain, only to be confronted by 2 sets of eyes looking directly at her. They did not move, even when she screamed and jumped backward. After 5 minutes, they heard them casually walk around the balcony and down the stairs. They convinced themselves that it was just a deer or something, since we did live on the national forest. When my mom told me about this the next morning, I remembered we had cameras that the previous owners had left, so I decided to take a look. And what I saw was arguably one of the most strangest things I had ever seen. 2 dogs, huge, had come out onto the balcony. However, the way they moved was so unsettling. It was almost as if they did not know how to walk on 4 legs, like they were used to walking bipedally. They both at the same time stared into the glass, completely unfazed by all of the noise my parents were making. They remained there even after my parents had gone back to bed, just fixed on looking into the living room. Then, I kid you not, at the exact same time, they both turned their heads directly toward the camera in the corner, almost as if they knew someone would be watching it, and ran to the camera in complete sync with each other. I mean, they literally mimicked each other's movements so well, it was like copy and paste of a video of the same dog running. I've never saw dogs act like that before. Even their eyes were eerie to look at, since they were staring right into the camera lens the entire time. Then they simply just walked back down the stairs into the woods. As far as I knew, both our neighbors did not have large dogs like that. I was left so creeped out by the footage. They seriously acted like animals in disguise, if that makes sense. I kick myself every day for not taking the footage with me when we moved. I am even unsettled right now as I write this out. Thank you for sharing. Definitely a creepy encounter. I just stand up. You know what's happening? I figured it out. I'm losing weight. And so I had to drop my pant size, and I'm not used to them being like this tight around my waist. They're not like tight, but I'm used to having a little baggier on my waist. So there's more air. And now I'm like confined. Don't like it. I found multiple publishers, MJ. The publisher, the book has been tried to been published 3 different times. I was at one time, so this is weird. When I started my channel, I was at a size 30 waist. I started because of my illness. And around last year, when my dad was really sick, I got to be like a 36. Right now, I'm a 34. It's weird. I don't know. That's why I'm looking. That's why we're looking right now, Truth Quest. Wilburn, are those original Coke you're drinking? No, they're Mexican Coca-Cola. So maybe they are original. I believe that the original used to use. Thank you, Michelle. I believe the original used to use like regular Coke. Well, I was skinnier, Blackie the dog. When I got diagnosed with my illness, when I was at my sickest, I was 113. I weighed 113, and like I was deathly ill. The doctors didn't even think I was going to make it, but you know. And then I think my YouTube channel is what's been helping me. You know what I mean? Like I think that's actually my specialist and I were talking about that the other day. We were talking about how. Hang on, I just got to text my daughter. We were talking about how I could not have. My channel saved my life. Basically, it gave me something to work to and research. So instead of thinking about my sickness constantly, I was thinking about the channel. I was looking into this shit and just getting better and better and healthier and healthier. What's up, EJ or EX? How are you? So I do. What's up, Prince? How are you, buddy? Prince Arcane, Ricardo. I use the computer to sense. Hey, Libra, how are you, dear? I am doing well. I'm glad that you're here with us. I missed you. Well, thank you, Michelle. I am so glad. I've been researching this shit for not shit. I say shit, but it's not shit. I take it so seriously. I have been researching cryptids and the paranormal and high strangeness since I was like, well, right around the time I had my encounter. I got my first cryptid book. But when I bought my first copy of Behold the Pale Horse is when I just dove deep into it. Aw, thank you, Sue. Walter, how are you, buddy? Libra, I know you're a busy girl. Well, we're like the time zones are what kills you. I know that. But it's nice to see your face. All right. It's Name That Tune. Because 20 bucks is 20 bucks. One more song. Two songs. Another one bites the dust. Yes. And the second song will be I Will Survive is almost close. Survive is in the name of the band. Survive is in the name of the band. Another One Bites the Dust was the first song. The second song is, I'll give you a hint. I did. Zilla got it. It was The Eye of the Tiger. Rising up, back on the top. Oh, fuck. I have got to clean that thing again, Shackle Neck. That literally tastes like fucking dog ass. It smells, my lips smell and taste like I just sucked on a dog's asshole. Oh, God. And I don't know what a dog's asshole sounds like or tastes like or smells like, but I'm imagining. Simone is not here either. Lolo, how are you? Oh. You want to know why it smells so bad? I'll tell you why. Because it's natural. It's a real horn. And real horns or real animal, like, it has decomposition. I do have to clean it. Dude, it smells so bad. Mr. Shackleneck got me this. I am doing well. Thank you, Lola. Minus my sweaty nuts. Hang on. Oh. There we go. All right, here we go. I'm going to give you guys the choice. An experience or a lot lizard experience. This experience, a creature has been bothering my family for 4 years, or a lot lizard experience. You guys choose. What's up, Edith? How are you? Experience, lot lizard, experience, crawler experience, lot lizard, this creature bothering you, lot lizard. All right, so what we'll do is we'll do this experience, and we'll do this one, and then we'll do the lot lizard. I don't know really how to start this off, and if this is not the right place to share it, let me know. But Jeff, I really do hope it is. A little after 4 years ago, at around January, February of 2020, at around 7 to 8 p.m., I was on my school laptop watching a video when I started to hear something beyond unsettling from my room. I could hear the sound of heavy paw steps coming from the kitchen and some god-awful screaming sound that sounded like a dog in pain. I slowly creeping around my kitchen and dining room area for 15 minutes, doing nothing but screaming. Now, I have dogs, but I could tell from the sound of the paw steps that this was not one of mine. They sounded like they belonged to something way bigger than my dogs, way bigger than a Chihuahua Pomeranian mix. I would say the size of a German Shepherd, even bigger. All throughout 2020 and 2021, I would hear it walking through my house at night. It wouldn't show up at any certain time, but usually it was around 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. At around the end of 2021, I moved states and assumed I wouldn't have to deal with whatever this thing was anymore. And for a while, I was right. For around a year, I didn't hear it at all. I would have weird and uncomfortable experiences, like my dog in my room randomly getting up and growling at the door, but nothing really beside that. Until recently, I heard the same thing again. The same creature in my new house walking around downstairs and screaming. The only notable thing is it sounded a little more quiet than it was before. I generally do not know what to do. Every time I hear this thing, I get this horrible feeling of dread, and I don't even know what it is besides that it sounds like it's walking on all fours, has paws, and sounds like a dog. And I think it's starting to generally scare the hell out of my own dogs, who anytime I hear it come running into my room, shaking next to me. Anyone have any ideas? Hang on one second. I'm going to fix the sweaty ball solution. There we go. Much better. Boxer shorts it is. Okay. Lizzo the lot lizard, and here we go. I think it was a demon. I have to agree with you, X. I think it was just a demon that followed them, Abner Garcia. Sounds paranormal as hell, right? Yeah. Hellhound, good call. Shall I send you a sarong? What's a sarong? I don't know what a sarong is. Sarong? Ooh, I want a sarong. That's just a towel. I would wear one all day with no boxer shorts. I would just let the nuts hang. All right, that was too much information. I would wear it. I would definitely wear it all day long. Lizzo, a woman carved from equal parts glitter and grit, surveyed her domain. The fluorescent glow of the trucker's oasis diner cast a sickly pallor of glow over the chipped formica. But Lizzo, ever the optimist, saw an opportunity. Or maybe that was just a reflection of her sequenced tank top. She spotted Earl, slumped in his usual booth, nursing a lukewarm coffee and a plate of what generously passed for scrambled eggs. Earl, a man whose wrinkles told stories he'd never articulate, grunted a greeting. Lizzo slid into the opposite seat, her bangles jangling like tiny alarms. Rough night, Earl, she purred, blowing a smoke ring that promptly disintegrated into a stale air. Earl just shrugged, pushing a piece of toast around his plate. Every night's rough, Lizzo, just some rougher than others. A sudden chill cut through the humid diner. An unnatural silence descended, muffling the clatter of plates and the rumble of distant engines. The air shimmered like heat rising from the asphalt, and in the space between two blinking arcade machines, two figures materialized. Not just any figures. These were reflections, twisted, inverted reflections. First, there was anti-Lizzo. Instead of glitter, she was cloaked in sensible charcoal gray tweed, her hair pulled back into a severe, perfectly symmetrical bun. She carried not a worn purse, but a slim leather-bound volume and an etiquette guide for the modern road warrior. Her eyes, however, burned with an almost unholy aversion, fixed on Lizzo's shimmering presence. Beside her stood Anti-Earl, gone where the grease-stained denim and the faint aroma of diesel. Anti-Earl wore a pristine white linen suit. His silver hair swept back with surgical precision. He smelled faintly of lavender and disappointment. He clutched a miniature artisan kombucha bottle. His impeccably manicured nose twitched at the scent of Earl's breakfast. Anti-Lizzo's voice was a whisper, but it cut through the diner like a freshly sharpened blade. The discord, the sheer vulgarity. She pointed a perfectly manicured finger, not at Lizzo, but at the general area Lizzo occupied. A walking affront to social disorder, a blight upon the very concept of refinement. Lizzo, mid-reach for a sugar packet, paused. Excuse me, sweetie, you got a problem with my sparkle? Anti-Earl, meanwhile, had taken a step back from Earl's booth, clutching his chest. The crude energy, the unkept facial hair, the lack of any discernible appreciation for, well, anything beyond cheap coffee and processed meals. Earl slowly put down his fork. Are you me? He rumbled, his voice a low growl of confusion. And are you Lizzo, if she was dipped in a vat full of anti-fun? We are the antis, Anti-Lizzo declared, her whisper raising a fervent hiss. The order to your chaos, the meticulous planning of your spontaneous unruliness. We have journeyed across dimensional planes born of pure and extinctional disgust. Now what? Lizzo squinted. Look, honey, I got bills to pay. If you're not here to buy a dance or a hot cup of joe, you're just wasting my prime selling hours. This seemed to push Auntie Lizzo over the edge. Selling hours, she shrieked, a sound like fingernails on a chalkboard made of pure moral indignation. You pollute the very concept of commerce. You debase impersonal interaction. You are a walking, breathing, glitter-spewing anarchy. And you, sir, Anti-Earl wailed, pointing at Earl, his fingers trembling, you're the very present is the stain on a pristine fabric of logic. Your truck is probably unsynchronized. You likely listen to country music. Okay, that's it. Lizzo stood up, her bangles clanging. Nobody talks about my sparkle or Earl's taste in tunes like that. And the battle began. Anti-Lizzo, with a flick of her wrist, conjured a flurry of perfectly alphabetized index cards, each one bearing a meticulous correction of Lizzo's grammar or a polite suggestion for more appropriate outfit. Lizzo, unperturbed, simply blew a massive bubblegum bubble that burst with a loud pop, coating Anti-Lizzo's tweed suit in a sickly pink goo. Uncouth, barbaric! Anti-Lizzo screamed, trying to rub off the gum, but only spreading it further. This is precisely why we despise you. Anti-Earl, meanwhile, tried to cleanse Earl. He produced a tiny pressurized can of air and blasted Earl's beard, attempting to make it sleek and smooth. Earl merely blinked and let out a colossal burp that echoed through the diner, causing Anti-Earl to swoon dramatically, fanning himself with a pristine napkin. You smell of digestive processes, Anti-Earl gasped, his face ashen. The sheer biological realism. Lizzo, seeing Anti-Lizzo momentarily incapacitated by the gum, decided to press her advantage. She reached into her oversized purse and pulled out a handful of loose glitter, industrial strength for maximum coating. With a theatrical flourish, she flung it at Anti-Lizzo, who shrieked as the microscopic particles adhered to every fiber on her sensible tweed, catching the diner's light like a disco ball. Now you're sparkling, sweetie, Lizzo cackled. Embrace the chaos. Earl, inspired by Lizzo's direct approach, grabbed his half-eaten plate of scrambled eggs. With a surprisingly swift movement, he launched the eggy concoction at Anti-Earl, who was still recovering from the burp. The egg splattered across Anti-Earl's crisp white suit, leaving a bright yellow, protein-rich stain. My bespoke linen, my organic free-range everything, Anti-Earl whimpered, on the verge of tears. The uncultured audacity, the sight of themselves covered in glitter and scrambled eggs, stripped of their pristine nature, seemed to break something in the anti-two. They carefully constructed personas crumbled. They began to twitch. Their outlines shimmered, less defined. This simply isn't right, Anti-Lizzo wailed, her voice losing its crispness. The very fabric of our being is unraveling in this swamp of joyous degradation. We are being Earl shrieked as a tiny, perfectly round black hole began to open behind them, pulsating with an almost polite yet insistent hum. It was Antiville calling, a dimension of perfect opposites, where order was chaos, silence was deafening, and every action was met with the precise, infuriating reverse. And Lizzo's glitter and Earl's eggs were the ultimate antimatter. With a final disgusted gasp of the vulgarity of it all, Anti-Lizzo and Anti-Earl were sucked backwards into a swirling vortex. Their horrified screams faded into the faint, high-pitched whine that sounded suspiciously like perfectly tuned, yet utterly despairing violin. Their diner slowly returned to normal. The aroma of diesel and stale coffee reasserted itself. Lizzo dusted a stray piece of glitter from her shoulder. Earl picked a bit of scrambled egg out of his beard and popped it in his mouth. Well, Lizzo said, breaking the silence. That was sure different. Earl nodded, chewing thoughtfully. Don't think I ever looked that clean in a shirt the same way. He took a long drag of his coffee. Antiville, huh? Sounds like a real buzzkill. Lizzo grinned, her eyes twinkled. Guess some folks just can't handle a little bit of sparkle and a whole lot of personality. She reached across the table, snagging one of Earl's untouched pieces of toast. Now, about that dance, Earl. I'm feeling a little validated. Earl just grunted, a small, knowing smile playing against his lips. Another Tuesday at the trucker's oasis. Just slightly more absurd than usual. I don't know, Craggers. That's good shit, though. What's up, Scotty Lee? How are you? Did you guys like that one or no? I tried to think of something decent, different. I was like, what could it be? I can say hi to Jeff now. Hey, Southern Charmer, how are you? It's so hard to come up with like different ideas for these experiences that Lizzo goes through. I liked it because I was like, all right, I got to think of something good. Elvis as a priest. Ooh, that would be good. Dirty Dom, how are you? I have some. I have some in my filing cabinet. Oh, Beast. You didn't miss it all. You can catch back up on it though. You should do Evil Dwarf of Detroit. I did one of an evil dwarf. Not in Detroit though. Maybe I did. That sounds familiar for some reason. Thank you, Sasquatchin. Miss Blackie was laughing. I'm glad that she liked it. I got another one, Monkey Crap. Don't worry about it. I do. Arabic is probably hiding out in his bathroom right now. Thank you, Craigers. What link? I did. Thank you, Tina Marie. I saw. I was like, it sounded familiar. On Fantasy Island, that would be cool. Any stories? Strangeness in LA. I do have one. I gotta dig it out though. No, I did do one, Jackwagon. country gal show. That's what Tina Marie said. That's why I was like, it sounds familiar. I liked the one first. I was like, I got to think of a good one for Lizzo's sister. So literally, instead of spelling her name Loosey, I spelled it the name Lucy Goosey, the truck stop prostitute. I know. Anastasia, Libra, Andy Davis is in heaven. We do need some fucking golden member, don't we? Thank you, Jess B. Maggie Mayhem, she did take a trip. She took a trip to hell where she met Saddam Hussein and his boyfriend, the devil. just like in South Park. Thank you, Zilla. Thank you so much. Ooh, that must be an Australian thing. All right, this one's cool. This one's cool as hell. On April 26, 2014, my best friend 18 and myself 19 were driving back to his house from Bible study at church. It was between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. About a mile and a half or so, turning onto a long country road that led to a small township he lived in. We saw a fire on the left side of the road and into a ditch. We turned around to get a better look and see what was burning. Being in the passenger seat, I was able to look down into the ditch to see nothing burning. There was definitely a large amount of fire. Then I could see through to the ground, but nothing was on fire. The ground itself appeared to be porous and folding inward. My best friend had to pull my shoulder to get my attention because I could not stop staring into it. A large amount of smoke started to pour out. He began driving again, but we eventually had to turn around and get back to his house at the other end of the road. When we reached the end of the road where we began, I dialed 911 to let them know there was what appeared to be a gas leak that had caught fire in a ditch. We drove past the fire again, but it had died down a bit. However, now there are smaller little tufts of flame on the ground. One after another, they led away from the ditch. While I was turned around looking back over my shoulder, my friend slammed onto his brakes and I heard him say, "Huh?" or "Huh?" walking out horizontally into the road from the trees on the other side of the road that the fire was on was something that does not fit any description of anything I have ever heard in experiences before. My brain needs to itemize its descriptions as I remember noticing them. 1, black. 2, big as a sedan. 3, on 4 legs. 4, shaggy, black fur from its shoulder to its head. 5, emaciated from the midsection to the tail. 6, literal black skin stretched around its bones on everything behind its shoulders. 7, canine-like head. 8, eyes very forward-facing. 9, eyes were not reflecting light. 10, large, round, black, and empty, completely devoid of light. 11, it blinked and its eyeballs were pressed inward with its lids as they shut. This thing was between 5 to 10 yards or meters away. I got a very good look at the thing through the high beams. It did not turn to look at the car. Its head was raised up slightly as if it was looking into the car to look directly at us. I was not particularly afraid or fearful. However, when it looked directly at me, I felt an intense feeling of dread and hopelessness being projected at me. My friend floored his old Taurus and whipped around the back end of the thing, and he drove 65 and a 35 all the way to his house. As we were driving, I'm screaming, "What was that?" With tears down his face, he sobbed, "I don't know. I want to go home. I want to go home." We ran into his house and locked the doors and windows. When we were finally able to calm down, we did not talk to each other much for the rest of the night. Over the next few days, I would try to relay the event to my family, beginning with, I saw something the other night, and I couldn't stop telling them everything while choking back sobs. I did not want to tell them, but they knew I was not okay. The intense feelings that thing put on me were beginning to take its toll. Almost a decade later, and I still haven't read a single experience or alleged sighting of anything that matches what we saw. Since then, I've become familiar with regional cryptids and lores associated with them. It was an apparition of some kind because it blinked. I have not read any accounts of apparitions blinking, only closing or opening their eyes for some desired effect. This thing was definitely existing physically. There's nothing from my state, Indiana, that even becomes close to fitting this description. Maybe a Black Panther or a Porter Road Hound, but those happened many decades ago and quite a few hours away. I think they saw a hellhound. They were coming back from Bible study. And I think what they ran into was a hellhound. You got to keep that out. You got to keep the fight, Zilla. You got to keep the fight. Spit in the hand and slap. Spit in the hand and slap. They tend to like it. I'm just kidding. But I really think that they saw a hellhound. You know, they're coming back from a Bible study. They're both young. I myself don't. I think when like kids are into Bible study and theology and goodness, I think demons are attracted to that because they don't want kids to be. I think they don't want kids to be associated with that. I think they just don't want. You know what I mean? Yeah, they definitely don't want goodness. I like Patrick Swayze in Ghost. I liked him in Red Dawn better. I liked him in Red Dawn way better. Aw, Zilla, you're too nice. And thank you, Samara. You always thank you. You have no idea. Fletcher Langler, thank you. I agree with you. That's why I really think that it was the new Red Dawn was good. I like the original. The original was way better, I think. Just my own personal. But I think that fire was definitely a portal, some sort of hell portal opening up or whatever, you know? Like, why does my hair look like that? It looks fucking weird. There we go. I want to look like that ancient alien guy. I like it now better. No, I don't like it that way. There we go. There we go. There we go. All righty then. Let's talk about this shit here. I will never dye my hair. Why would I dye my hair? That would be so dumb. I do need tinted glasses. I do. I have one. I just haven't gotten a haircut, Anderson. It is aliens. God damn it. Aliens, 100% aliens. What are you talking about? Aliens. Grow some chops. I got a beard, goddammit. I got a beard. I got some aliens for you all. And fairies. This is cool shit right here. I'm not getting my hair cut. I'm growing my hair back out. I miss it too much. I really do. All right. This alien encounter. So this experience happened on the same day the Hopkinsville Goblin sighting happened back in 1955 in August 22nd. I want you guys to hear this, and I want your opinions on this experience that occurred August 22nd, 1955. On that day in Casablanca neighborhood in Riverside, California, a group of children reported one of the strangest and most elaborate UFO encounters in American history. While playing in a neighbor's yard, the kids witnessed a series of increasingly bizarre phenomena, beginning with a hovering, spinning disc radiating curved lines of light. This was followed by a semi-transparent orb-like UFO in various colors, mostly silver, that appeared and disappeared with musical pinging sounds. Attempts to alert adults were unsuccessful, as the strange objects vanished whenever the parents came outside. The events escalated when the children claimed to see alien-like entities, including a translucent child-sized being wearing a glowing belt and a multi-limbed creature that communicated telepathically with one boy, instructing him to climb a tree to be taken later. The boy and another child began to climb the said tree as they entered a trance-like state. A few minutes later, a Saturn-shaped UFO arrived with little men climbing from its rim to reach them. Fearing an abduction, other children used a garden hose to snap their friends out of the trance. One boy came down, but the other reportedly levitated onto a nearby roof, later falling but surviving unharmed and remembering nothing. The strange objects and beings vanished completely. The children were later interviewed by two representatives from the Borderland Science Research Foundation, BSRF, a research group that archived the incident as part of their investigations into anomalous phenomena. Their involvement gave the case more visibility among the UFO and paranormal researchers, though it remained obscure to the general public. Additionally, when contacted requesting any available documentation or further insights on the related 55 Casablanca incident, response was, official report written by the investigators was lost to time. Later finding this, again, this happened the same day the Hopkinsville Goblin sighting occurred, and in the same city, where just 3 years later, a man named Charles Wetzel encountered a tall, lanky creature in the road. So again, do you think any of this was connected? I do believe in succubus and incubus, 100%. I do. Like links of a chain. Agree. Was Charles Wetzel was he had seen 3 years later in that same town, he had seen Turbo Christ. He had seen a very tall, strange being in the road in Riverside. So I think it's weird that, just think about the Hopkinsville Goblin story and how famous that is. And coincidentally, there is actually a archived experience that is lost same day, hundreds of thousands of miles away, because this was California. Hopkinsville was Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken. Just weird. Why do I believe that my neighbor has been dating a succubus? He was a thick guy, now a shell of a man, and my dogs don't like her. Wow, that's crazy, Southern. How do your dogs feel about him? Johnny, I think that's just normal. I think that's just a normal thing. Sleep paralysis is terrible. It is scary as shit. They cater to him and are sweet to him, but growl at her. Huh. San Francisco. A succubus is a female incubus, essentially. Like the incubus is towards females, succubus is towards males. Oh, it's 100% Turbo Christ, 100%. I know from my experience with the Ouija board, I know that it, like, literally, we were talking to something we shouldn't have. Kind of. They're a demon, I guess. They're a demon. Like, the incubus is supposedly a demon that drains men. So kind of like an energy vampire. I think a lot of these creatures that we name, like vampire and gargoyle and that and this and that, are just demons in general. It's like the only thing that makes sense if you really think about it. And knowing is half the battle. Ooh, a Pyrenees. That's a big dog. I imagine it would change your life, brother. I imagine it would. I had one sleep paralysis experience that changed my whole. I honestly think it's connected to. So you guys have heard my Ouija board experience with my cousins, and I think it's connected to my Dogman encounter. Like, I really think the three experiences that I ever had were connected somehow. So Ouija board, Dogman, and then my sleep paralysis one was weird because I was working at GMAC financing, and I worked until 11 o'clock. I had the 3 p.m. to the 11 p.m. shift because I dealt with people in California. And I came home. My wife and daughters were sleeping. My ex-wife and daughters were sleeping. And I sat on the couch. I still smoked weed at the time, so I went out back and I smoked a joint and listened to some music quick. I laid down, and weed doesn't make people fucking see things and things happen. I don't care what people say. So, and it was just one joint. Like, at that time, I was fucking, I didn't want to do any dope because I had done some at work. So I was good. I had my fix, and I had a couple bags left for the next morning. So I just was like, I'll smoke a joint, go to bed. So I smoked a joint, came back inside, and laid on the couch. Now, how the house was set up was the kitchen was here, the living room was here. In between the kitchen and living room was a stairwell door that was locked. The stairwell went downstairs, and it was not a crawl space. You had to bend your knees to get to walk around down there. but we kept it locked because the girls were still really little. And then so from the living room was another living room, which was the girls' playroom, and then my ex-wife's room and mine. And we had Belle in there at the time because Belle was only like 9 months old and she's still in her crib. And then Abby's room was next to our room. So I'm on the couch by myself. Mind you, I had gone through the kitchen. No one went downstairs. Nothing was down there. We didn't use it for storage. The only thing that was down there was the hot water heater and the furnace. It had a dirt floor with pads of cement down there, but nothing. That door was locked when I laid down. I lay down, and I don't know how long I was asleep for. It couldn't have been too long, but I heard what sounded like a chain, like that chink, 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 or like when a dog's collar wiggles almost. And I had a wooden coffee table in front of the couch, and I hear something brush against the coffee table, and I can hear it panting. I'll never forget it's panting. It was panting. And it walked around the coffee table, and I'm lying like this, so I'm lying facing outward. And I can fucking feel this thing. Like I can mentally and physically feel it coming up the side of the couch to where my face is. And I didn't open my eyes because I was fucking scared. I was literally petrified. My eyes are closed. I want to scream help. I want to scream to my ex-wife, like help, something. I can feel its breath. And then I get my voice and I yell something, but it's not loud. It's like help, like something low. And I get my voice and I get the courage to open my eyes. And when I open my eyes, there's nothing there, but the downstairs door is open. I jumped up. I looked down the stairs. Nothing was, the light was on, which was weird. That meant someone or something had been down there because the only way that light could be on is if you went downstairs and pulled the pull switch. So I just shut the door and locked it. And then I went in and woke my ex-wife up and told her the experience. It was terrifying. It was something. I don't even know what it was. I will never, what do you think? I have my own personal things on that. And I know for a fact, I'm not even going to talk about it because I don't think it had anything to do with the Annabelle doll. They did never carry the Annabelle doll with oven mints before that. It's just, I'm not even going to talk about it. It's not. I have pictures with that doll with me. I've seen the doll. I've touched the doll. Like I have pictures on my Instagram. There's the dolls. I think the guy passed away way too young. I don't think it had anything to do with the doll. There's more important. There's a legacy that's the weird shit's going, inner turmoil within paranormal research communities. That's all I gotta say. You know what I mean? Like I know I know realities of that because of people that I know, and I promised them that I would never talk about it. So the only thing I could say is no one ever wore oven mitts before picking that up. It's weird. They let out, yeah. Details can be created too. Put it this way, Jim Petanito worked firsthand with Ed and Lorraine Warren his whole adult life and with Father Malachi Martin. and knew that paranormal researcher well. And he's got a kid. It's sad that a kid lost their dad. There's a lot going on in the field. He probably passed away of something natural, but in those paranormal, like, you got to think there's TV shit involved. Nothing like that doll is haunted, but it's not the story that people know. Just like Bathsheba didn't exist in the Conjuring house. There was no Bathsheba the witch. Like, the real story is there was a woman named Bathsheba, and there was never a court hearing where she was tried and hung. She wasn't a witch. She didn't kill kids. There's just a lot of lies between all of this. Like, just, you can't believe what you hear. It's like, think about the movies. Like, like, it's fucking made up. There's no demon type behavior to that doll. I can 100% certain. There's no why. Okay, here. Why would a demon attach itself to a doll? That's the dumbest thing. We were talking about that the other day, me and Jimmy. A demon wants to attach itself to a human. It doesn't want to attach itself to an inanimate object. And if you read Father Malachi Martin's book, Hostage of the Devil, he says that. Like, they attach themselves to humans, not like a garbage can or a G.I. Joe guy. Like, demons don't do that. It's like, that's just not very good. Like, that's, they like literally. Yeah, I know the channel. I know him. I don't know him, Libra. I will do 100,000 special. I promise. It'll be a live stream. We'll do it, and then I will do it when the plaque comes. I know him. I don't know him personally. James knows him. Dark Waters knows him personally. Robert the Doll is haunted. And the only reason why I know that, I don't think it's like a demon. I think there's something strange with the doll, an energy, not a demon. Because Colby Brock from Sam and Colby had pissed the doll off or did something. He flipped the doll off and like 2 months later got testicular cancer. It could have been a coincidence, but he really did get testicular cancer and almost died. Specifically, their last video they made on their channel prior to him getting testicular cancer was him pissing the doll, like kind of flipping the bird off or flipping the doll off or doing something dumb. Definitely something weird with Robert the Doll. Not a demon, but some sort of energy. Yeah. Yeah, that has an angry. I agree, Raven. I agree. I there's a lot of things that, like, I don't know. It's hard to explain, and I don't want to get into a pissing match with people that are like, like, I don't know. I don't like drama, so I'm not gonna share information that's not mine to share. I just got it shared to me. You know what I mean? But you can't believe everything you hear, especially when they're on the Discovery Channel and fucking this and that. You know what I mean? And making mitts full of money. You know what I mean? That's he did die, and it's sad. It's fucking tragic. He died way too young. He was 54 years old. I think he had a 6-year-old kid, which is fucking sad as hell. I pray for his wife and his kid. It's tragic. But other than that, I don't know. I just don't want to piss anybody off. And you know what I mean? All right. Strange counter in the Upper Peninsula. About a month ago, on a camping trip to the Upper Peninsula on pictured rocks for this night, I had a strange encounter that I just cannot seem to shake from being paranormal. I figured if anyone knew, it'd be you guys. Now, I want to preface this by saying, firstly, I've spent a lot of time in the wilderness for my whole life. I know the cries of fox, bobcat, mountain lion, etc., and I can say for certain they do not match the sound I heard. Plus, outside of that, as I will later mention, I have done my research on a lot of animal behavior. Alongside that, I have also lived my entire life chasing and living alongside strange paranormal occurrences since I was a kid. I know the chill you feel in the air. I know the sudden feeling of despair and the following silence as if the world held its breath. Trust me when I say I am all too familiar with the feeling of the sixth sense. My girlfriend and I were on a camping trip in the Upper Peninsula, like I mentioned, checking out some of where she grew up and taking me to her favorite tourist destinations between our nights of camping for about a week during the end of summer, spending from mid to late August of 2024 to be exact. Halfway through, we stopped at Pictured Rock to camp right alongside the shore. To my knowledge, semi-popular campground. All of the campsites were spread out pretty decently. In the midst of all the trees, each clearing was 40 to 50 feet from each other, lining the hill that leads to the shore of Lake Superior. Now, this was in the very top of Michigan, where outside of a handful of other campers there, almost nobody lives. I mean, in comparison to anywhere else I have been, there is a significant lack of people. So when nightfall hit, we waited in our tent, talking and playing board games until long into the night. At around 2 a.m., we walked out of our tent to look at some stars where the shore starts. I wish we had not. Walking out toward the clearing through the forest, long past seemingly any other camper had been awake. We traveled about 30 feet toward the shore to a little clearing we had planned out. As mentioned, the line of campers of where other people should be are far and either to the left or right. So why was it that we heard what I tried to rationalize to a blood-curdling scream of a disheveled man-sounding voice? I think, nerd, nerd, nerd. That's just how they're explaining it. As if a man was being, I don't know, killed from behind us from the direction of our only illusion of safety being the tent. Now, me and my girlfriend, thinking this would be a small romantic calm walk, my girlfriend did not think to put her knee brace on to help her leg heal after being recently dislocated. We couldn't run. I put my arm around her shoulder and we had to slowly, painstakingly walk through this sudden burst of horror back to our flimsy tent. My mind is racing. Both of ours were, actually. We tried staying calm, comforting each other by saying maybe it was someone camping outside the main sites. Maybe they had a nightmare, got attacked by an animal, got scared by their friend. Firstly, if someone were there at all being sketchy or being a stretch, it likely wouldn't have been wolves because you would have heard them howl, or traveling pack, right? And bears tend to avoid people when possible. So unless someone left food out and camped next to our site, what are those chances? Even then, after all of our racing thoughts trying to get around the same idea, I couldn't stop thinking from every piece of research I'd done, from any rabbit hole I've ever gone down, it just seemed wrong. The sudden silence to insects, the sudden chill of the wind, the darkness seemingly getting darker. I couldn't stop it. I couldn't shake it. And it didn't sound human. Intelligible, yes. And you could definitely hear no being yelled. However, it rather sounded like something attempting to sound human. Too raw, too distorted, too static. While I may be a paranoid person, this just felt incredibly wrong. Is there any chance of this being some kind of paranormal creature? My friend thinks I'm crazy, and honestly, maybe I am. Apologies for the ramble. Thanks. I don't know how to get that one. that like maybe it was, I think maybe they didn't hear any noise. They didn't hear anything running back. Like there's a video that I saw the other day, and I'm going to share it on my channel next week or this week coming. This guy's walking through the woods. He hears a scream, and you can hear it moving away. And then you can hear something running in the background, but they didn't hear anything running. They just heard that noise. No. So maybe there is a logical explanation. You know what I mean? It's strange, but like I said in the beginning, I think and Dogman isn't the culprit of every case that we hear in the woods. As cool as they are literally like few and far between. I think crawlers, you're more apt to see a crawler or something else than a Dogman. You know, like I used to think the 411, I used to think Tom Messick, if you've been with the channel for a long time, I used to think Tom Messick was abducted by a Dogman for the longest time because I was obsessed with Dogman. I was like, Dogman did it. Dogman. And I feel so dumb thinking that now because, like, why? Why would a Dogman and not take his gun, take his backpack, take his hat, take his walkie? No, I think what happened was a portal and something took him into that portal. I think Dogmen and other cryptids like Bigfoot are responsible for like 3% of the missing 411. And then I think the other 97% are something dimensional, which would be a demon. Crawlers can get hurt. 100%. They've gotten hurt. They got killed by a Dogman when JR saw one in Gila National Forest. Dogmen gets killed. Dogmen aren't like these things are not like fucking indestructible. There's too many creepypastas out there that make people believe that Dogmen, Bigfoot, and crawlers are indestructible. These die. They've been killed. Yes, Darth Raven. I have multiple experiences from subscribers that have shared their experiences, especially in Gila. I do for you, Libra. I had one earlier that I did. This one's for you, Libra. This one's for you. I want to start off with some info. I'm 24 and currently pregnant. My husband is currently in another state because his dad is passing away. I live in a happy, family-friendly, and welcoming neighborhood. So my experience begins on a chilly night. I drove to my mom's house because it was her birthday. I went at 6:30 and came back at 9. When I got home, I had a craving for some junk food. So I went to a local corner shop and then came back. When I pulled into my driveway is when I got a weird feeling. I stepped out of the car and went to my door. 2 girls were pounding on my door. I said hello and they turned around. One looked to be around 14. She had blonde hair and wore her hair in a top messy bun and was wearing a pink summer dress. It was odd because it was winter and freezing. The other girl looked to be 9 and had darker blonde hair, long curly hair, and a blue and white plaid shirt with denim shorts. All of a sudden, a sense of fear washed over me. I got really freaked out and ran back to my car. At this point, I'm hyperventilating. I was looking down at my shaking hands, and I heard knocks on my window. Sure enough, the girls were there. But then I realized they had black eyes. The whole eyes were jet black. My heart skipped a beat. The oldest said, "Miss, can you roll down your window?" I'm not sure if those were her exact words because the windows were down were not down, and I was reading her lips. I just froze, and the little one said that she was cold and hungry. I rolled the window down just a tiny bit so I could hear her better. The little one repeated about food and being warm, and I shook my head. I said I didn't have any food. The older one changed her expression to an angry expression and shouted that she wants in, and I turned on my car and drove out of my driveway. Anyway, that was 5 hours ago. I am parked in a restaurant's parking lot, still shaking. That's my experience with a black-eyed kid. Definitely creepy. Zilla emailed me his experience. I don't think I have any aquatic ones tonight. I don't think I do. Have you heard the one where the little boy was in the wheelchair? That's the most scariest fucking aquatic story I've ever even shared or heard. Let me check real quick. I might. No, I don't. Sorry. Are black-eyed kids little vampire kids waiting to drain your blood? Maybe. All right. We're 2 hours and 30 minutes in. So I'm going to do my last lot lizard story and then do a couple of other encounters. So this is the last lot lizard story of the night. Then I'll do an experience out of the Appalachia and a bizarre experience that a family had that made them move out of their house. The air at Big Rig Bill's Stop and Chow clung like stale fryer grease in desperation. A comforting aroma to the regulars, Earl and Bubba, two truckers whose bellies preceded them into any room, were arguing over a particularly stubborn potato chip bag, their voices rumbling like idle diesels. "I'm telling you, Earl, this ain't no ordinary bag. This here's got a seal on it like it's protection, state secrets," Bubba grumbled, wrestling the shimmering foil. Hovering near the perimeter, a beacon of defiant glitter under the flickering neon sign, was Lizzo. Not her birth name, of course, but the one she's claimed for herself, a moniker as bold and unapologetic as her fuchsia tracksuit, and for the amount of hairspray holding her beehive in place. Lizzo, the lot lizard, the night queen of Big Rig Bills, knew every creak in the asphalt, or every crack in the asphalt, every groan of engines, every sigh breathed into the night. She'd seen it all, or she had thought. Tonight felt different. A low, feral chittering had been persistent around the dumpsters, more organized than usual. Yellow eyes, too many of them, glinted from the shadows. These weren't your garden variety trash pandas. These were elite apex scavengers. And tonight they were operating with unfiled, almost desperate intent. Their hunger wasn't just for forgotten fries, it was for something more fundamental, something deeply profound, raccoony, and, as Lizzo correctly surmised from their twitching noses and tail flicks, something deeply disturbingly sexual. Earl finally ripped Bubba's chip bag open with a triumphant roar, sending a shower of crumbs and that was the cue. From behind the dented steel dumpster, a silhouette began to descend. At first, it was subtle, a ripple of fur and stretched of skin, then a series of sickening pops and tears. The raccoon grew. Its beady eyes pulsed with an unnatural light, its masked face contorted as limbs elongated, fur thickened and claws sharpened into wicked talons. What had been a squat nocturnal scavenger was now a hulking bipedal creature, roughly the size of a burly human, its new stretched out skin barely containing its ferocious energy. A second, then a third followed suit, their tattered fur standing on end, their chitters dropped to guttural growls. Holy gravy, Earl! Is that a large squirrel? Bubba said, dropping his chips. Earl, mouth agape, could only point a trembling finger. Raccoons, now trash titans, shuffled forward, their masked faces fixed on the truckers with an unsettling intensity. They swayed almost suggestively, their new, oddly muscled bodies radiating an aura of chaotic, misdirected desire. One, particularly large and scarred, let out a low rumble that sounded less like a threat and more like a bizarre, gravelly invitation. They want to mate with us, don't they? Earl said, his face paling as the realization dawned with terrifying clarity. The lead raccoon, now nearly 7 feet tall, lunged, surprisingly agile despite its bulk. Its massive paws, tipped with claws that could shred a tire, reached for Earl, clearly intending to drag him into the shadowy depths of the truck stop unlit backlot for purposes best left unimagined. Bubba screamed a high-pitched squeal that shattered glass and tried to duck behind a bewildered Earl. This was not just another Tuesday night. This was Earl and Bubba, her semi-regular clients, depending on who had the cash, being accosted by giant horny raccoons. Lizzo squared her shoulders. A lot lizard has standards, and those standards do not include letting giant magical bandits abduct the local trucking population. With the speed that bellied her heavily lacquered hair, Lizzo whipped out the most potent weapon. It wasn't a taser, it wasn't a switchblade, it was a half-emptied can of enchanted evening, a discount perfume so sweet and aggravating that it would peel paint. She bought it for emergencies, and this was definitely emergency. Get back, you filthy fur fetish freaks, she squawked, pressing the nozzle. A thick, noxious cloud of synthetic rose and cheap musk exploded from the can, engulfing the lead raccoon. The effect was instantaneous and dramatic. The giant trash panda froze, its newly sensitive nose overwhelmed. It coughed a deep, raspy sound, and then it began to backpedal, its eyes watering. Its companions, also caught in a periphery of the scented assault, chittered in a confused distress, rubbing their masked faces. You want some of this too, you overgrown garbage golems? Lizzo roared, advancing, spraying the whole arc of Enchanted Evening like a weaponized air freshener. The magic-wielding raccoons, masters of the night and shapeshifters, found their arcane powers no match for their sheer, unadulterated assault. Their primal urges warred with their sudden excruciating sinuses. They began to shrink rapidly, whimpering as they did. Their grand, terrifying forms collapsed back into mundane, though still remarkably agile, raccoons. They turned tail, and fury, rapidly diminishing wave of shame and floral notes, disappeared back into the shadows from the whence they had come. Their chitters now sounds of utter defeat. Earl and Bubba, sprawled on the grimy asphalt, stared up at Lizzo, mouths open. "Lizzo, you saved us," Earl croaked, scrambling to his feet. Bubba added, "I think I could still smell flowers for a week." Lizzo tossed her empty perfume can aside with disdain. "Please, just another Tuesday. You boys owe me a coffee and maybe a proper tip for services rendered. Next time, try not to get yourselves abducted by romantically inclined rodents." She flipped her beehive, adjusted her fuchsia tracksuit, and surveyed her domain. The night was back to its usual blend of greasy calm and quiet desperation, just the way she liked it. And somewhere in the darkness, a group of very confused and very single raccoons were probably still trying to get the air out of their fur. Lizzo always does it. Lizzo always does it. She's a good girl. Thank you, SDL. Appreciate that. Phew. I gotta check. I wonder if we grew. We are at 99,036. And the channel only needs 964 subs. Sean Downey, how are you? Can you believe that? We are almost at 100,000. I cannot believe it. It is so freaking crazy. You have no idea how crazy that feels. There's something in my ceiling. The squirrels are back. Ironically enough, I tell a story about a horny raccoon, and now there's something in my ceiling. Do you want to hear? Why not have a live in for self? I'm going to. I will. I will actually do something profound for the 100,000. I will do something really really amazing. You know what's crazy is I didn't know this, so I looked this up, and it's crazy because if I didn't look it up and someone said it, I wouldn't believe them. So there's 100 million YouTube channels on YouTube, right? Out of that 100 million, the channels with 100,000 and more, so the channels that have a play button and more, are only 550,000 out of that 100 million. So it's like 0.5%. And those are the actual numbers. And I was like, holy shit. That's crazy to think about. That's insane. So that puts us at freaking, we are in that position. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was more that did. But if you Google it and look, the actual, because Google owns YouTube, so Google would know it's the right number. It's weird. I never thought. Maybe I'll do a couple more than that. All right, here we go. Let me start by saying I've lived in the Appalachian Mountains all of my life, and I've experienced lots of strange things. My family was Irish and settled in West Virginia, but I currently live in North Carolina portion of these wonderful mountains. That being said, I have learned a lot about what really lurks in the dark woods. But this was nothing I had ever experienced before. It all began with my golden retriever Ozzy growling like I had never heard before. He literally never growls. So that had me already uncomfortable, but this growl was bone chilling. It was like he was getting ready to fight for his life or something. I took both him and my other dog out at around 11 p.m., and he would not leave my side. I noticed that my workshop door was open, so I walked down to close and lock it up. The entire time he is glued to my side. Ozzy also kept trying to get between my legs, still growling, and all of his hair sticking straight up like a feral animal. The second I close the door, all hell breaks loose in the woods. It sounded like 50 full-grown men had broke into a full sprint tearing through the woods. Trees shaking, branches falling. In my life, I have never been so scared. We get back to the house before I shit my pants, and I pull out my pistol and mag light to figure out what the hell's out there. When the dog and I got back outside, we were surrounded by what sounded like mumbling. It was everywhere. I shined the light all over the woods and couldn't see a thing, but the sound was coming from all around. It sounded as if you got a full gym of people to baby mumble. You could almost make out words. That's why I don't know. I immediately felt sick, like I was having a mix of a panic attack and the full swing flu. Back inside the house, it sounded like something was walking around my house all night. Windows were creaking. You could clearly hear the sound of feet on the gravel outside. The mumbling never stopped. Every time I got up to check the house, my feet would touch the floor and it would get dead silent. You couldn't hear birds, crickets, frogs, or anything. I was terrified and didn't sleep a wink. The air felt thick and evil all night. That's the only way I can explain the feeling. Imagine a soaking wet quilt being tossed over you. That's how I felt. Thanks. The majority of the videos are AI, Sonia. Actually, I'd say 90%. Yes, I am a musician, songwriter, and I know you've probably experienced writing a story or having an idea. I don't know. I write all my Lizzo stories, Turbo Christ, so I hope they never come true. Jeff, you do not read mine. How did you? Your experience, Zilla? I didn't go on the email yet. Did you send it to me today? No, I didn't read it yet. No, it's downstairs. Now I do remember it's downstairs on my printer down there. When I do, I'll email you and let you know. Whew, it's getting fucking hot in here. So I'm sure I'll be called crazy, but I lived in the middle of nowhere, Minnesota, in the northern border all of my life. I've heard stories of Bigfoot and other things, but I really never believed. I grew up hunting, fishing, trapping, and I've seen and heard some weird things, but there are two experiences that still shake me up to this day. The first encounter was in the winter, and it wasn't too bad. Me and my friends went out shopping at the nearest big town, 10,000 people that was around us. After spending most of the day there, we were heading back to our hometown. We were all talking and having a good time like high schoolers do. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught a figure in a small field next to a telephone pole. We all went silent. This thing was at least over halfway up the pole and completely white in color. My friends and I went silent for the next hour to our hometown. We never said a word the whole time. When I dropped When I dropped one off, he asked if we saw that thing, and I answered, yeah. Any of us never spoke about that incident ever again to this day. Another incident occurred when me and another group went out coyote hunting. That one was way more frightening. It was 3 a.m. in the winter. It wasn't particularly cold, at least not enough to snap trees. We were calling for prey in the middle field that my friend's parents owned for roughly an hour. After a lot of nothing, we heard trees snapping and breaking, but no eyes shining were showing up in the tree line when we shined the red light. We packed up in our trucks and left 20 minutes after that. I was driving in front, and to my right, I saw a huge dog-like creature keeping pace with us through the woods. As I drove as fast as I could back to town. And when we finally met another vehicle at the gas station, they said they had saw it following us too. The day after that happened, my friend said that the field we were hunting in was native land and supposedly haunted. Oh. I didn't hear that. I didn't. Thoughts on the couple caught cheating at the Coldplay concert? I didn't hear about that. That's funny. Orion, no, I don't. And I wouldn't on that. I probably wouldn't share on the live. I would only do those on a regular video, to be honest with you. No shit. Oh, wait. I think I did hear something about that. I think I did. Where did I hear that from? I think Damon Albright or whatever from Blur / Gorillaz had said something about it on an interview I saw the other day. Because it does sound familiar now. Maybe. I don't know anyone that knows how to open a portal, and I wouldn't recommend doing it. That's for sure. That is for sure. Yeah, but yeah, it's not good. I don't think even bells are, I don't know. Try not to help on that 59th. Burros, donkey. Mules are asses. Oh, shit. Good night, woodsman. I didn't feel a weight on my chest because nothing was sitting on my chest. I could feel something touching me. That's about all I could feel. So for that, I could feel there was definitely something physical, but nothing was on my chest. All right. Last two experiences. Okay. Phew. My name is Paladin, and I had an experience that I'd like to share. So it started when I was around 2015. I was 13 at the time. I was pulling an all-nighter because of my insomnia. I never really seen the sunrise. It was around 4:30 or 5 in the morning in Florida, in Orlando. When I opened my curtain to look out the window, I saw a figure hunched over, kind of sitting on my neighbor's fence. It was almost pitch black in nature, had a shadow even in the semi-moonlight. It had wings that were huge and glowing red eyes, staring right at me. I felt like they were reaching into my soul. I fled, being the confused 13-year-old I am, and let my parents know to take a look. When they came to the window, it was gone. Who figured? No activity started until a month later. Chilling in my same room, looked back outside the window to see if there was ice on the window. It was winter around that time. And I look at the moon again and see what I figured was the same figure, but hard to tell because he was in the sky. And in the same line in the moon, I heard a screech like a roar, but higher toned. After that, there hasn't been another sighting yet, but when I share this experience, it feels like the thing's right behind me watching. Mr. Shackleneck, thank you so much, big brother. Thank you. I appreciate that. Wow. Cheers to you, big dog. So I've been a career paramedic, but this happened when I had only been one for 5 years. This has never left me to this day, and I shit you not, it happened exactly like this. I was driving home on a rural highway one rainy afternoon. It was really pouring and traffic had slowed to 50 miles an hour. I was following two vehicles, and we rounded a bend in the road as the small sports car on the opposite side crossed the center line and hit the small SUV that was leading the three of us vehicles on my side of the road. I immediately pulled over and called 911. It was a bad one, and I had to go and check on everyone. There was a wailing coming from the SUV on the side of the road. That's always a good thing because people are breathing. So I went down the field past the ditch to check on the sports car. There were two young guys in the car. The force of the impact had driven the engine to where the front passenger seat would be. The passenger was still buckled, his crumpled hand grabbing the old shit handle. Overheard the entire section of car shoved into the back seat area. The back of the car had peeled away as had the passenger's top of his head. His jawbone jutted out raw and jagged. He was clearly dead. But I felt a pulse anyway, all the while listening to the gasping, rag-dragging breaths of the driver. No pulse on the passenger. I tried to figure out how to deal with the driver, but there was nothing I could do. The car had literally wrapped around him, and it would take an extradition team, extremation, I don't know how to say that word, to get them out. And I was listening to his dying breath. I apologized out loud to him that I could not do any more. I told him I was sorry to leave him, but others needed my help. In my heart, I knew he'd not make it, so I went to render aid to someone else. In triage, we call this black tagging, a patient who isn't going to survive. I did what I could for the family in the SUV. Emergency medical people and fire services got to the scene and took over. The entire family had injuries, but all of them survived. Zilla, thank you so much. And fire service got out to the scene. The mother had permanent brain damage and had lost an eye. But the whole day, those two guys in that red sports car stayed in my mind. That night, I was home alone getting ready for bed. With just the bedside lamp on, I heard something in my hallway. It got louder as it came down the dark hallway toward my open door. It was like a thump, drag, thump, drag. I absolutely froze. A broken hand curled around the door frame. And then the kid from the passenger seat was standing there, busted up like he was in the car. I'm totally serious. He looked at me, and I can't recall the exact words of what he said, but it was something along the lines of, "Hey, my friend wants you to know he understands. He wants you to know he's okay. We both are. Thank you for trying." He stood there for a few seconds just looking at me, and then he stepped back into the shadows, let go of the door frame, and I listened to him drag back down the hallway into nothing. I turned on every damn light I could. I slept with the lights on for a full 2 weeks. I clipped out their death notices from the paper later that week. Turns out they were both high school seniors on their way home from a wrestling tournament. Their car hydroplaned from what? Investigations determined. I had never recognized the blonde-headed kid had he not. Dragged down the hallway. I had never recognized the blonde-headed kid had he come to me as his healthy, unwrecked self. Freaked the hell out of me. I still have newspaper clippings. I will never forget them, nor his ghostly visit. I've seen a lot of shit in my 29 years as being a paramedic, but nothing quite that visceral before or since. Can you imagine that? That would be terrifying. Like, you see these two young, like, teenage 20-year-old kids, whatever, like, but then they come into your room. One of them comes into your room and thanks you. Ugh, that is chilling. That is sad, but it's chilling. Oh my God. Could not imagine that. All right, guys. Almost a 3-hour live stream. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. I've done them before, Susie. I'm probably going to do them when I hit my 100,000 subscriber thing. Guys, thank you for spending the evening with me. Delirium, I hope you feel better this week. I really do. I hope that all works out for you. Libra Poet, it was great seeing you. I hope to see you next week. Guys, we're fucking almost there. Like, thank you for all of your support and everything that you guys have just done for this channel. Like, you guys really freaking. Susie, I answered your question. I answered it. I said I did before when Victor was on, and I'll probably do it on my 100,000 subscriber thing. Guys, once again, thank you for all of your support. Thank you for everything you guys do to make this channel what it is. Libra, I hope our schedule works next week so I can see you again. It's always nice to see you. Tito, it's nice to see you. It's always nice to see everybody. I mean, we're a big family here, so it's just nice to see all of you guys. And thank you. Turbo Christ. I'm not even going to respond. Anyway, I love you guys. I'll see you next Saturday. But once again, thank you. Good night, guys.